Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 262. It's going to be a short intro because I can barely speak. As you can see, my mouth is a massive ulcers. I had a tooth extracted on Thursday and my lips were damaged, and that's what's hurting, not the extraction point. It's pretty painful. Anyway, let's talk about the Reaper Challenge. So last week I painted up the Axebeak. Pop a picture on screen now. That was a lot of fun, very simple, and the video for that will be out tomorrow on An Average Painter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, every week I put a list on screen, which is on screen now, of 10 miniatures, and you all vote on which miniatures I'm going to paint the next week, the following week. Now, next week, after next week's vlog, I'll be away for several weeks. So this time, I want you to pick 3. That's 3 miniatures. And what you do is you put a comment below. You can talk about anything you want to, but if you include up to 3 miniatures, that will give you 3 entries into a prize draw where I will draw at the end of, after 4 weeks of votes, and you will have the opportunity of choosing one of the miniatures that I've painted in the previous 4 weeks. The miniature with the most votes will be the ones I paint. So this time the 3 miniatures with the most votes will be the ones I paint. So do leave a comment below. It's really, really inspiring me to keep going. I'm obviously still hobbying now, still standing talking to you now, even though I'm in pain, because of you guys watching and the fact that I do these videos. So last week I had some good votes, and the Dwarf Barbarian won. So I'll be painting up the Dwarf Barbarian this coming week, and you better see what that looks like in the next vlog next Sunday. So I'm going to stop talking now because this is agony. Get on with the video and I'll see you again at the end. Right, finally, Axebeak. So we'll get him out of his packaging and have a look at him, see if there's much cleanup that's needed. A little bit. Not very much in terms of actually taking sprue off, but you do that with your goggles, with your Brigham ears, and that makes it a bit easier to see. So what I'll do now, as always, is I'll get that scrubbed in hot water, hot soapy water, leave it to dry, get that based and primed, bring it back, show you what it looks like when that's done, and then we'll get him down onto the painting bench. But I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do some Googling for ideas of what colours they should be, because I have absolutely no idea what colour they should be. But thank you to everyone that voted for this, really cool, and don't forget to get your vote in down below for this week's. Well, we've got most of the walls apart from these inner 4 here cut and in place, and I've just made a decision I'm going to try something a bit different. So for the ground floor I did little tabs that were quite narrow. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut a strip that's just under 5 centimetres thick, like so, and I'm going to try and do it so that it actually fills up most of the corner. So that's the idea. Let's see how well this works. I've got this awesome guillotine, which is super cheap and should do the job for me. So we'll cut a couple of strips at 5 centimetres, and then what I'll do is I'll probably just get scissors and slice them into narrower vertical slices, and then we'll get the glue out and start to assemble the frame. And what I'm thinking is that by having the strip the height of the wall, that's going to make it a little bit easier for me to get some structure. So I'm going to crack on with this now, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, or after a couple of goes. But yeah, it's cool having the right tools. I very rarely use my guillotine, but it's the right tool for this job, so it's good to have it there sat on the shelf. Just laid it out, and I thought this was quite cool just to quickly show. So there, as you can see, got all the walls laid out. So now what I'm going to do is take these strips and build it up to make it into a framework, and almost certainly we'll end up having to glue it down to the base as well. I'll bring you back when I get to that point. So the wonderful and wonderfully named Strawberry Cheesecake sent me these as a gift a little while back, and I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these all cleaned up and primed, and I'm going to ask Rosie to pick a number out of these, so 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and 20, and whichever number she picks I'm going to take it with me on my next trip, and she is going to be able to paint it up entirely herself, and I will get all of these done over the next little while of visits with her, because it's a small thing to take. I can take the paints that we'll need to for it. I can ask her what colour she wants, and then yeah, she can have some fun painting these up. And I know this was the purpose of these, that me and Rosie have some hobby time together. So yes, I'm going to get these out of the boxes, and I'm going to get them washed up in hot soapy water, get them primed, get them glued together, and then primed even, and then we'll find out which one Rosie wants to do. And I'll do that one. I'll do that one when I see her in a few weeks' time. Well, I've managed to get the outer done and the corridor put onto the end, so that's cool. So I'm now going to leave well enough alone for a little bit. It's very tempting to keep fiddling with it. And what I'll do is I will try to get that glued inside of this, and then get this glued onto the base, and hopefully, well, this is definitely working better with these longer tabs. Definitely much easier to work with. But yeah, cool. Well, I got the Axebeak all primed, and while I was priming them I realised I need to do a little bit of basing work. So I have my builder's sand number 3, which looks a bit like that, and I have my finest sand over here, and I'm going to extend the style of the pudding base to the edge of this larger base. So I'm going to do that using Luke's awesome glue. I wish I knew what it was so I could go and buy it without giving more money back to the company, because the guy who owns it now apparently really screwed Luke over, and so I don't really want to give him my money. But this is the best basing glue I've found. So if any of you out there know where I can get this stuff without financing someone who screwed over one of my mates, that'd be awesome. Right, anyway, enough of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop some of the bigger sand in, some bigger stones on, like this. Nope, that missed. And I will then, once I've done this, I will then put some of the smaller sand in, and then let it to dry. And then I will go back and I'll finish priming and paint, and then paint it. So I've got the camera zoomed too far in, but I'm going to do it like this. So there we are. There we are, that should be good. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll paint that up and show what it looks like when it's done. Alright, here we have the current state of play. So this is still not glued down to its base, and that has worked so much better with those thicker tabs taking the whole corner than the thinner tabs that I did at the bottom. But it still looks really, really good, and I'm still really pleased with it. With the overhang is what I wanted. What I'm going to do now, I need to do these middle bits, break these the two rooms up. So I need to measure how large I want those, cut some out, stick them in place, again using the larger tabs for sure, and then glue the base down. So that's what I need to do on that one. On this one I need to do the stairs, the rises and treads. Thank you, Strawberry. So I'm going to start working on that very soon as well. That's not going to be very difficult to do. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is paint the whole thing black. I'm just going to prime everything black once that's done. I also need to work on the roof, which will sit on top of this one as well, which shouldn't be all that difficult, but we shall see. So I'm going to get stuck into doing the into finishing off the framework for this first floor here, and looking at doing the stairs, and I'll bring you back and show what it looks like when I get to the next stage. Well, I was just painting this black, and as you can see we have an issue. And it's because these little tabs, and I figured this might happen, these little tabs are just not sufficient to hold this together. And now because of that, and because I'm painting it with this paint, I'm getting warping issues as well. So this is all going very badly wrong all of a sudden. I should probably have done black spray paint. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that apart and weight that down so that it doesn't get too badly warped. So I'll need to find my weights wherever they've gone. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble this using the full size tabs like I've done on the other one here, so these bigger tabs. Ain't nothing simple, is it? Never mind, I will, it is really warping. It's a good thing I don't really care about it being too straight, because it's supposed to be a bit of a damaged, knackered up old bar, so it being a bit winkly wonkly is actually relatively lore accurate in my head. But yeah, using water-based paints probably wasn't the best idea, so I might also, when I come to do this again, I might also spray prime this to seal it and prevent this from happening again. Alright, onwards and upwards. I show you all warts and all. I'll get this reassembled with larger tabs, and then I'll probably, like I say, I've warped it completely. Look at that. Look at that. My base is completely warped. So that might be dead, and I might have to use a different base. But it's fine. Oh well, onwards. Well, rather than reassemble it, I've built it again, which hasn't taken too long. And I've done it with the longer tabs. So just now I've glued the centerpiece in place. Pretty happy with how that's looking actually. It's much squarer than the other one, and I think just in general it's better. So yeah, happy with that. Let that dry and then do the spray paint black, and then we'll crack on with the next steps. A little bit of time wasted, but not too much. I found myself a picture of the Axebeak, so I'm going to go and paint it now. That's pretty cool, and it shouldn't take me too long, only a few colours. But I think it's going to be fun to try and get that shading and all that stuff done. So yeah, quite looking forward to this. A little bit of a different style of miniature than I normally paint. So yeah, I'm actually right now, as I record this, about to go down the stairs and make a start. Alright, so making good progress here. You can see I did make a deliberate mistake, and I forgot to put the dividers in for these rooms, but I can get that done and then spray paint it. But that spray painting has worked a lot better. This, another deliberate mistake, which I'm actually happy I made. I forgot that I was going to have an overhang. So we've now not got an overhang, and I actually think that's a lot better of an idea. And what I've been working on is the stairs. So I took a little bit of my offcut, and what I've done, I divided it up into squares. So if I put that back together, that's how it was. So I measured 4 for the risers, and to make sure that we could get up as high as we needed to. This is the correct height, it's 5 centimeters high. So by cutting it like this into 4 steps, I've been able to make 2 sides. What I can now do, if I bring this over, what I'm about to do is inside here, I'm going to glue that in there, flush to the bottom. Oh, not in shot, there it is. Flush to the bottom like that. And then on the other side, and then I'm going to glue that in place on there. And then the other side will get glued onto the base like this, a little bit later on. And what I'll then do is I'll then put some steps, treads across each of these. I'll leave it open, and that will mean that a miniature will be able to slot its base in, which will make it usable, but it will also be some nice steps going from one floor to another. So that's how I'm doing the steps. I'm going to glue those on the sides on that base now, and once I've done that, I can take this now to be sprayed, because I don't have anything to add, because I have put the dividers in place. Pretty happy with this. I will come back when everything is done, when I've got all of the dividers on the second floor, and I've got the stairs ready to be assembled on this one as well, including the base. Work out how I'm going to measure that and etc. But yeah, it's really coming on nicely this now. Next up we'll be doing painting and working out how I'm going to do that and how I'm going to do the texturing of the floors. Oh, and I need to make an actual bar. The bar is going to come here and is going to kind of curve around like this. It's going to be a 90-degree bar, so I'm going to have a play around with that as well. Well, I've just spent a bit of time making the bar. As you can see, it's looking really good, and what I'm going to do now is glue the bar top on. And if I grab, oh, it's getting in the way of the camera, you can see it's a good size for 28mm figures. So what I'm going to do, I'm just using my finger as a paintbrush, because I can get the application that I'm looking for a little bit easier than with a paintbrush. Because what I'm going to be doing is running a bead across the top of the sides, and then sitting the what's it on top, which should provide a good enough, hopefully good enough gluing surface
to hold this in place, particularly considering I'm then going to paint it and do all sorts of other stuff to it, I'm sure. So just run our bead across. It's a bit watery, this glue at the moment. I don't know why it's so watery. Probably because it's so old. This is very, very old PVA. It's great to buy in bulk, but it's not great to buy in bulk when you don't use it up, because then it goes off. Right, so that's on. So what we'll do now is set our bar on top, like so. And then a bit of weight to hold it down. Right, I'll let that to dry. And I have also done the stair side, so that is in the correct place. When it goes on top, I'll be able to put my treads across for 40mm, 4 centimeters wide, so plenty of space to go up with your miniatures or even whatever base you put them on. And it's not to scale those steps, but you know, there are some compromise you have to make when you're doing gameable terrain, particularly with interiors. There would probably be twice as many steps, but then it'd be really fiddly to make and also fiddly to use, so I'm not going to do that. So yeah, bar's done, stairs are next to done. I can put the treads on once I actually glue the surround on, because that is also stuck in place on the inside, so it'll go like that. So once this is dry, then I will glue that in place, and then I will take it down and paint it. So yeah, making some really good progress now. Really pleased with this as a technique, and I do need to do the roof as well. Oh, and split those bedrooms up and repaint that as well. So yeah, a little bit yet to do. I will probably come back once everything is ready and painted to show you what it looks like then. All right, so I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to start sticking the stair steps on. So I've cut out 4 sections, which are 4 centimeters by 2 centimeters, and they slot down onto the steps, as you can see, like so. So just gonna come along here, putting the glue on and putting each step in place. And then pretty much, so apart from building the roof section, which I'll do next, construction is completed, which is pretty cool. I'm having so much joy making things just out of cardboard, really simple stuff. You get a really good result. Got to be patient, but that's a lesson that we can all learn, isn't it? Improving our patience. There we are, so put the last one in, and there we have it. We have some steps. So you come in the front door, you've got the bar here, you've got steps there, and then you've got a couple of rooms here. This is going to be the kitchen, obviously, and I've just finished now, been gluing down the top. And you can see that sits nicely on there, and you can see the steps come up nicely through. So pretty pleased with that. I'll leave all of that to dry now, and then I'll spray with black over everything again in the morning. Obviously already done one coat on this, but I'll spray everything with black, and then we'll come along and we'll start painting the details in and making it, finishing it off. But what a great little technique, and it really is quick actually, particularly when you use these big tabs. The big tabs are definitely the way forwards. That's something I've definitely learned. Yeah, these longer tabs are better than the smaller tabs in my first effort, which was a bit of a waste of time, but never mind. Right, let's let that dry overnight. Well, a week from today, I'm going to be back on the road in my camper van called Bruce, going to see Rosie, and I've put a desk in there for working from, because I'm going to work my way across Europe. But I also want to try and do a little bit of hobbying. I'm not entirely sure how much I'll get done, but I am going to try to do hobbying, and I've got time with Rosie, and I've got some things that I might hobby with her. So I've ordered this, which arrived today. So I'm just printing out the instructions now, and what I'm going to do is going to assemble this, and then I'm going to mount it on the wall in the camper van and put some paints in it for when I'm hobbying on the road. So that's my plan. So I'm going to get stuck in. I just hear the printer has just finished, so I'll go and grab the instructions and we'll get stuck in with trying to assemble this, and hopefully it's easier than that tower thing that I've just finished doing from TTCombat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop everything out, get everything out of its sprues, gather it all together into things that are similar. So you can see we've got 4 of these, we've got 2 of these are very similar, and then I can go through the instructions, which as always bear no indication of which sprue things are on, and I'll start to assemble it. So I'll get that done now and I'll bring you back when I start to assemble, and I think I'm going to try and film all of this because I can see this being quite useful for someone that has bought this kit and is confused by the instructions. Just had a thought that maybe there might be some people who have never worked with any MDF kit before, so I should show how I go about removing them from the sprues. So I have a very sharp knife, and you try to avoid stabbing yourself like I already have done once on my finger. And what we do is you find out where there's always little joins where the sprue meets the part. You find those little joins and keeping your backhand away, slice cleanly through like that. And it is as simple as that when you have a sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, it's much harder. So I've got another one up here, and I've got another one here, and that's it. Simple as that. That's how you pop it out of the sprues. And then these blanks, I might actually end up keeping these circular ones. They could be useful for something. But then you'll also have some little tabs, which I'll just do straight into the bin. I've got so many of them I don't need to keep any more. And that's that. So that's how I'm taking them out of the sprue. So if that's helpful, hopefully it is. But yeah, it really isn't very difficult, especially with a sharp knife, like I say. Just like that. Right, so I'm going to start assembling this now. So this is step 3. And we've got this piece, and we've got one of the long sections. I use PVA when I'm gluing these together. And I have already done my test fit, but you should always dry fit these. What I do is I put not very much PVA, probably even put a bit too much on here. Not very much PVA on these joints because it'll dry quicker and it'll be just as effective as slapping it on, which will mean it doesn't dry very fast at all. So that is more than sufficient PVA to put on. Just run that along all the contact points and then put it in place. And then I'll probably get some clamps to clamp it in place as well if I need to, depending on how tightly I feel that it's actually held in place by that. Yep, I think that's good. And then you can run your brush to take any excess off, and that's done. So that's step 3. And what a waste of paper. Step 4 shows you it's done. I mean, yeah, it's done. Good, right. So the next one is we take this piece. Now this piece, they slide, they point downwards, and that bottom one slots into the bottom slot, like so. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to do a little bit of dry assembly on the next steps. Well, on these steps, I'm going to dry assemble this one. But the next step is taking one of these, which is the ones that has the big and the little, what's-its, and doing that. And I'm going to presume that what I'm doing is repeating that over and over. Yeah. So we're just going to repeat that over and over until we've done them all, and then each one, as it's created, will get slotted into here. So it's exactly the same process you just saw. I'll put some glue along here, put it in there, and I'll do that for all the pieces, and then when I come to anything different, I'll turn the camera back on. Right, all of that has been done, including the one odd one out, which is the one with the flat on top with no holes on top, which is what goes there. So yeah, so what we're now going to do is look at the sides. So these sides have these slanted slots, and the tabs will fit in. And I'm just going to quickly dry fit for now. And if this side dry fits in okay, what I'll do is I'll dry fit this side, I'll glue this side in, and also the centre pieces. And then I'll turn the camera back on once I've done that, and we'll have a look and see how we're going to actually fit the other side. But I think that's going to work fine. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to glue these down the middle, and glue these sides in as well. And then when I've done that, I'll bring you out along and show you how I'm going to go about doing the other side. And the first side is on, and that went quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is continue on with this and putting the second side on. So once again, I put the glue on the contact points, like so, just to make sure that we get a good connection. And this is clearly going to be able to be finished in one sitting, isn't it? Which is pretty good. It is very good because I want to get this inside the van and start thinking about what I'm going to take and what hobbying I might end up doing. So yeah, glue on all these contact points, which doesn't take too long. It takes a long time when you know the camera's rolling, people are watching. That's one. And then we'll very carefully fit the other side on top. So these tabs go to the back, like that. So we'll turn around then, and then we'll start at the top and slide each of these in, like so. Oh, this one's been a bit of a pain. Slide them in. Yeah. This one, that's the one that didn't want to go. Done it now. Yeah. And then the last one. There we are. And then just gently but firmly press down across it all. And you can see that we're getting quite close now. Let's move the camera a bit and look at the next step. And do this as one very badly filmed continuous segment. So that was 13. So now, their advertising happens. So you take the TTCombat one, and that one slots on the bottom. You can't see because of how the camera is. Whoop. Yep. So TTCombat, and that slots on the bottom. And if you can see, we've got tabs here. We've got a tab there, we've got tabs here, so I'll do that gluing. And then I'm going to presume, yep, that the next one that goes in is that one, and that one goes on top in very much the same way. So I will get those glued up and slotted into place, and let's have a quick look, see if that's it done. I think that might be it done. Oh no, there's some there's some extra bits. So yes, I will look at the instructions and I'll get this done, show what it looks like, and then look at the instructions and see what these pieces do. I don't know what they do. Right, so the next steps are for putting in place some bracing and some brackets for hanging. Now I'm going to be attaching this using a permanent method, so I won't be actually using these for hanging. I'm going to screw it to the wall so I don't want it to fall off if there's a bump. But basically what we're looking at doing is this. So we've got 4 corners, I'm going to glue those in place, another one up here, another one down here, another one down here, and then we've got some bracing to go on the front, I think, but I'll come back to that. So let's get these in place, and I'll bring you back for what I think is going to be the final step. So the next step involves gluing these 2 triangles together, then using these clips to secure them. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of PVA on one side, like so. Put that one on top, like so. And then a little bit of PVA in each of these grooves. And then finally we'll come along with these little clips and shove them in place. So we've got to do that twice. So I'll get the other one made up and then I'll show you where they go. So in the interest of transparency, I am pausing here because when I try and turn this over, everything falls apart, these bits fall out of the back. So this is, I think, as far as you can get with regard to actually doing it in one go. Unless you've got someone to help you to turn it over, which I'm going to try again, but I don't think it's going to work because these are very far apart and I can't really hold them in place. But I can at least show you what was happening. I did it! Whoa, I did it! But yeah, still they're falling apart, as you can see. Now I'm gonna put it back. I'm not gonna do this. So yeah, I think that we're gonna pause now, and I'll come back in about an hour after I've eaten my dinner and do the last step. All right, so it's after dinner, and as you can see, I went and got some super large clamps. I will maintain that clamps are one of the most important things to stock yourself up on for any kind of hobbying, because if you're hobbying on your own, you don't have lots of hands. I mean, I could have turned it over and done this next step without waiting with those clamps. But anyway, what we've got is we've got these, and yeah, trying to work out how they're going to go in. It's not all that clear. I think they go in. I'm not sure. This is a bit odd. I think they kind of like that. The instructions here are not all that clear. I think they go in like that. Yeah, they kind of wedge in. So let me zoom that in a little bit more, so you can see. Because actually, I'll do it on this side. I'll do it on this side. That'll be easier. So I'll zoom right in. So I've just worked it out. So you've got this little kind of notch here that goes over the bottom, and you've got this notch here, and that kind of goes onto this step all the way around. There we are. And you kind of push it in and rotate it in like that. But what I'm going to do first is get some glue, because I don't think I'm going to get these out again. And I'm going to use the cheap finger as a paintbrush trick. Just kind of do that. And then a little bit on this top, glue everywhere. So yeah, so what you do is you slide it in here, and you kind of support it in place like that. And that's that, and that is the final step. So this is now made. I'm going to let that dry overnight. I'll glue the side in off camera. And then the next thing is I'm going to show you how I'm going to actually mount this. I may as well show you how I'm going to mount this actually inside the camper van, because that's going to be quite cool. And then it'll be a case of working out what paints I want to bring with me. And that'll be a different video. Right, so I've picked myself up some brackets, and what I'm going to do now is attach these in. I've done the first one just as a test. So I thought I'd come along now and show you how I'm actually doing it. So I've got a bradawl, which is really useful to get a hole in there so that when you start doing the actual screw, it doesn't dance around all over the place and actually goes in. I've got my driver, because effort is, unnecessary effort is silly. And so what we're going to do is just tighten that up like that so that it's flush and 90 degrees. And then we're going to come along with the bradawl for the second one. So it's 2 screws per hole, 2 screws per hole, 2 screws per bracket. And when I've got these ones in, then I'll turn it over and I will put the brackets on the other side. So when this is in the camper van, I will screw through here and through the ones at the top, and that will then be secure. So I'll get the other 2 brackets on, and then when I've done that, I will go into the camper van. I'll bring you along for that as well. Well, welcome to Bruce and my little desk. This is my desk, and this is where this is going to be hanging on the wall here. So I'm going to be able to work here and also hobby at this little bench. And I might try and do some some videoing in here as well. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna film doing this. It's going to be a little bit of a fiddle, but this is where it's going to go. So when it's done, when it's screwed in, I will come back and show you what it looks like. But yeah, pretty cool to get this done. Right, so we have this on the wall, and that's nice and secure. And I've also just screwed down this little desk tidy where I can put paint brushes and knives and what have you, just stop them scattering around. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. I will shoot some video while I'm on the road. Against all the odds, I've managed to finish this week. It's been tough to get any hobbying done, but I have got this done. And I'm really, really happy with how he's turned out. I really like the base particularly. A very, very simple paint job. Will be appearing on An Average Painter on Monday. If you want to see how I did this, check that video out. But yeah, thank you to everyone that's voted already this week. If you haven't voted, what are you waiting for? Get down to those comments and leave a vote for which miniature you want me to paint next week. Thanks ever so much. I'm really pleased with how these have turned out. Still got some spray paint to do on this one because I ran out of black spray, but yeah, pretty happy. However, I'm struggling to get these finished. I'm not sure I'm going to get these finished in time, which is a big shame, but I'm going to keep trying. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the floors brown. I'm just going to paint the floors brown and the walls white. I'm just going to go really basic, so I just want to try and get this done. So if I can get that finished, I'll be very happy. But yeah, I'm struggling a bit with my mouth and with my motivation because of my mouth. It's hard to work when you're in pain. But yeah, we're just going to drag down some grey, some brown, and I'll turn the camera on when I'm doing it, but probably I won't talk. I'll probably put some music on because it's a struggle to talk, as I'm sure you can hear. Here we are with progress on the turtle. Had a lot of fun doing this, taking some time. It's not rushing, but it's getting there. So I'm working on the shell, not finished on that yet. And I started working on the structures. I did manage to break the flag off, so I'm just glue that back on. But yeah, going well. Sorry, can't speak very well at the moment. Got a very sore mouth. That's what that turned out like, and I'm not happy with it. The only reason I did that is because I'm in pain. So what I'm going to do is what I should have done. So I'm going to go into my box of goodies here. I have loads and loads and loads of wood. I'm going to cut up the slabs, going to cut up these, just trot the rounded ends off, and then I'm going to glue them in place. And it's going to take ages. And I might not get it done this week, but I don't care because the result's going to be better. So I will turn the camera on when I'm doing the chopping and the gluing, but once again I may not talk because of my mouth. And I will be gluing it down using grabby glue. So it'll be nice and easy. So a couple of beads of grabby glue, press the thing in, couple of beads of grabby glue, press, 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 press. So that should make the assembly part quick. It's going to be the chopping part that's going to take time. So yeah, I think that's going to be a lot better. Well, there we are. Longer video than I realised it would be, mainly because of doing that paint rack, which is really cool. And I'm looking forward to getting some use out of it, and I will obviously report back. Now it's going to be a short outro again, agony. I'm going to put on screen the list of miniatures. You can choose up to 3 of these miniatures. I forgot to say that there will be in the pinned comment and also in the description links to the Reaper website so you can see what each miniature looks like. Pick 3 miniatures, put their names in a comment below, and you'll be entered into the draw, and you'll be helping me to keep motivated. So thank you ever so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And ironically enough, I'll say as I always do to everyone, please stay healthy. Believe me, stay healthy. Try and avoid having to have a tooth out. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well. I forgot what it was then.